Love it. Kyrie Irving has to decide on his $36.5 million player option by Wednesday. It is very up in the air whether or not he's going to take that for very interesting decisions. He wants a long-term deal. The Nets don't. And my question is, does Kyrie deserve a long-term deal with the Brooklyn Nets?
It's not about does he deserve it. It's do they have to do it. They have to do it. I can't see the way the Nets built this team expecting this nucleus to win a championship. They haven't gotten even close. They haven't gotten to the conference finals. We've had this conversation a little bit. Is it about the leverage? Does he really want out? Because if it didn't work and I know we've said this at both his other stops, but if it doesn't work in his hometown in Brooklyn with Kevin Durant, a team they built together, it's not going to work anywhere. And we said this with Boston with all those pieces, and we said this in Cleveland with LeBron. So when I look at it, and obviously we'll see what he does with that player option, but if he doesn't, he's going to have to get a max, a huge contract. I am under, the perception that this is a little bit of smoke to get that deal out. Curious what you think, but the Nets have to do this. They don't have another way out. They have to just bite the bullet. You knew you were getting into with Kyrie. It's not like this was an unknown commodity. He's unknown, but you knew he was unknown. So that is something where I think you just have to go do it.
Look, I think this has been a fascinating from day one. Kyrie's tenure in Brooklyn's been so interesting. He's always had one foot out of the door, it feels like, a lot of ways with what he's done in Brooklyn, whether it's, with the vaccine situation, with just his frustrations with the team at times, or now it's wanting a trade. Wanting is a strong word here. I just think I agree with you. A lot of it's about leverage. I read an interesting article yesterday about how he's almost using his relationship with KD to his own advantage, because Brooklyn knows that if one goes, they both go.
Yep.
And you're not losing KD. I personally have no problem if they let go of Kyrie. Personally, I don't mind. But I think KD he would go with him, which is the problem, because this has been from day one. They came to Brooklyn together, and they've been here trying to win a championship together. And like you mentioned, you can't walk away when you haven't even come anywhere close to your goal at all. This is a team who we thought was a lock for a ring almost in some ways, a lock to get there.
3 years in, they'd never been to a conference finals. You would have thought
this is a massive disappointment. Yes. But with the way things have gone, you're looking at it a little bit differently. You're looking at it as injuries. There's getting rid of James Harden, and now
a shoe on the line.
Now it's Ben Simmons. I think, to me, that's the wild card in this, and you need to give some experiment and see, when you have Kyrie, KD, Ben Simmons, a healthy Joe Harris, what do you have? I think that's what you need to see that, because that team, to me, is good enough in the East to make some noise, and we'll see what happens. And I think I agree with you. Kyrie's making a story out of this, as he always does, makes a story out of stuff. But hey, he's left places in the past. I'm not going to rule it out, so we'll see.
Can I float a hypothetical trade here?
Sure, why not?
The one trade.
No. You're doing that trade?
What?
The one you brought up the other day?
I don't remember if I brought.
Okay, let's hear it then.
But it's to the Clippers. Is that
yeah?
The one?
Here we go.
Norman Powell, Marcus Morris, 2 1s. You pair him with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. That's the best team in basketball. That's the.
What did you say again? What was what'd you get
Norman
back?
Powell, Marcus Morris, that matches the salaries, and 2 firsts.
Are you doing that, Julia? I'm not doing that if I'm the Nets.
No.
If you're that's if you're the Clippers. I don't think any team should want to take on Kyrie.
Sure.
I think that's the only deal where it makes sense for another team. I don't think any of these other teams. The Heat? You're a Heat fan.
Okay. I'm not saying his list of teams is the right group. No, this is why I think it's not going to happen. Actually,
but Kyrie's not going to go to any team.
That's a great point. I don't know about you, Julie. That's why I think it's not going to happen. And not a team on this list makes sense, except
the Lakers.
Maybe the Lakers. That's really the only team that makes this guy. Man, I'm just saying. There's a way. I don't know how you feel about this. I think he knows leaving LeBron was a regret. I think he knows he should have never done that, and I think he knows that could have changed a lot of things about his career. In terms of winning rings, in terms of reputation, I think that's the only place that makes sense to me.
Yeah, he's got to. I mean, when you look at his career from the point that he left LeBron, it hasn't been all good or even a lot good. However, yeah, looking at this list of teams that he wants to go to, first of all, there's a lot of these teams that couldn't even afford him if they wanted him. And
literally none of them have the salary.
Yeah, and then also for the small chance that they could afford him, they don't want him. They don't.
Here's what doesn't make sense. Obviously, it's very clear. Every single one of these teams is could contend if he's there, right? The Heat were just...
Well, they're all contending already.
That's what I'm saying. So, Kyrie wants to go to a contender. None of those contenders are really any better than the Nets. This is not about going to a team that's going to improve his situation. It's just about getting the money out of it, right? And I think, can you blame Kyrie? No. I mean, he's using his situation as leverage. Yeah, but I get what he's doing.
Because the reason, if Kyrie's on the court more than 103 games in 3 seasons, it's a shoo-in they give him this deal. He's put himself in a spot with his unavailability to where it's a question of paying.
You just said that the Nets have to do the deal.
Yeah, they do.
That's
but
my
I'm saying
point.
you can still look at Kyrie and he's putting them in an impossible spot.
Yeah.
Because if he's just playing games when he's healthy, it's not a question, but that's not what he's doing.
Yeah, my issue with this whole thing, my biggest issue, I have quite a few, but Kyrie Irving, literally, like, it is fine that he chose to not play with the Nets last season. Like, it is his own personal decision. However, if you're going to make that decision, you can't come back from that and then still expect to be paid like you played that whole season. Like, he was not injured. He was sitting at home completely fine. And again, it's his own personal choice, whatever. However, you can't come back and be like, really invest in me.
Give me a supermax.
Yeah.
I want to bring up the second part of this too. I know we've talked about KD. You said something the other day that I need you to recycle here for the people out here
yes.
about
Oh,
Kevin Durant.
boy.
Can you
Oh, boy.
please tell us what you think about him?
Listen, I don't know how to word this in a way that I don't think Kevin Durant, I don't want him on my team. I
And what
know.
team do you
worst
like?
way to phrase it. I don't want him on my team was worse than what
I
you
went
said
through a
the
lot
other
of
day.
possibilities and chose the worst one.
That
It
was
is
the-
okay. It is okay. And here's
Oh,
why. Here's why I don't want him on the Memphis Grizzlies.
Thank
First
you.
of all,
That's better.
First of all,
I
to
don't-
think about what you have to give up for Kevin Durant, I think the Grizzlies, if they keep with what they're doing, they have multiple championships in their future as
Wow.
is. Not right now. Not right now, but give
Oh.
it a few years. I mean, John Moran is
Oh my
already a
goodness.
superstar.
Oh my god.
Develop Desmond Bain more.
Oh
I mean,
my
he's like a
goodness.
lights out 3-point shooter. Dylan Brooks. I mean, we've got the talent there.
So you think this nucleus, they run it back 2-3 more years, they're champion?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I
Wow.
mean,
Oh my
given
goodness.
given maybe
Wow.
one decent free agent signing, I think we're there.
You know my response was always to this. First about the KD thing. Can we just cut? I don't
Yeah,
want
no,
KD on my
just
team.
post
Can we just
that.
cut that as a clip? The second one was
Oh
fine.
boy.
I actually agree with you. I don't think it makes a lot. It wouldn't make any sense really. KD is not a good
For
fit.
KD, it wouldn't make
No,
any
it doesn't make any
sense.
sense to go to the Grizzlies. But I think my problem with the Grizzlies, as I've always said, you can't win a championship when you play better without your best player.
That's
That's it.
fair. And let me
That's
backtrack a little bit. Just a little bit here. I don't want KD on the Grizzlies right now just because of what we'd give up for him.
Great take. That's a great take.
If we could sign
With
Kevin
every,
Durant.
With every take, it gets a little better. With
Little
every
better.
Sentence, it
Yeah,
gets a
I'll
little
just keep talking until I'm completely agreeable. But if we were able to somehow have the cap space to sign Kevin Durant out front, like, of course I take him. He's one of the best players, if not the best player in the world. But I don't want to shell out our young core for Kevin Durant.
I do have a question though. Like, would you do a Toronto Raptors situation? Would you bring in Kawhi Leonard, win a championship, send him out the next year and rebuild?
I have never seen my team win a championship
You
in
have
any
to do
sport.
it.
So that's what I'm saying. So
I
if-
would do that.
But
yes.
it wouldn't
you
take
can-
John Morant. It wouldn't take John Morant.
No,
for
that's what I'm
KD.
saying. But if you
No.
can, that's what I'm saying. If you can bring in KD, win a ring, and then maybe he leaves a couple years later, like I think it's about how you perceive the current Grizzlies. You obviously have a higher perception.
Yeah,
of them.
Right.
I would do it. in
I think
every
they're very
league.
good. I don't think they're good enough. But could they get there? I don't know. But I think to say that KD, let's say he shows up tomorrow, that's a tough team to beat. I mean,
I like the Grizzlies too, but I can't see this current group. And you said bring in a significant free agent. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's lovely. I'm sure it's a lovely area. What free agents historically have gone to Memphis?
First of all, Memphis is the best city in the whole world.
tell him, Julia.
Second of all, I mean, look at a team like Milwaukee. I
Good
mean,
point.
But they're
That's
not
homegrown
playing.
talent,
No,
though.
Yeah.
Homegrown talent.
but I mean, 2 years from, I mean, in the next 2 years, I could, if they weren't already so good, having Giannis on your team, I believe absolutely brings in that
Yeah,
interest
yeah.
from a huge free agent. And I
Sure.
think John Morant could do the same exact thing.
I also think like Drew Holiday pushed him over the edge to me. So can the Grizzlies get a Drew Holiday
And
type
that's
player?
with the trade.
And I think that's what you have to do. You don't need a KD. I agree with you. I think you need a role player that'll get the job done. I'm no Grizzlies expert, but I think it's a
And
That's
based on our draft activity, I do think we're gearing up to make a decent free. I don't think it's going to be Kevin Durant.
imagine that. Oh my goodness.
That would be crazy. I could be happy with that, given the trade is.
Could be happy with Kevin Durant.
This is hilarious. The wording here is like, so let's say if KD shows up, you'd be disappointed.
I mean, if we're trading Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bain, Brandon Clark, and like
Two of those guys, three firsts.
I'm doing that, man. I'm doing
two
that.
of them in 3 firsts.
All right, that's a lot of first round picks. But
What do they mean if you have?
but you're
KD
in a
John
win,
Morant?
and you're in
And
a
we-
win now mode, right? That's what
very
you're
true.
in.
But also, our front office is too good to waste first round picks.
They
Like,
are excellent at draft. I'll give you that for
It's
sure.
all it all contingent on Kyrie though, right? I mean, what he does ultimately is going to have a big pull in what KD does. I think KD's all in on Brooklyn though, personally. Like in my feeling about him, from what I've seen, the press conferences, and just how he acts and what he does for the community. I think KD's a big Brooklyn guy. We'll see about Kyrie. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out, but we'll see what happens.